Fantastic. Okay, great. So, welcome to everyone who is just joining us. We're going live with the wonderful Kamalini Roy. If you're just joining us, just say hi. I'm just gonna make sure that we are live in the group. It looks like it's just taking a moment to go live, so I'm gonna just refresh my screen and make sure that we're all live and okay. Okay, perfect. We are live. There we go. I can see it now. That's perfect. So welcome if you're just joining us as I go live with Kamalini Roy. Today we are going to be talking about how to grow your rockstar team so that you can grow your business. So if you're just joining us live, please do just make sure, and I'm just going to click on the banner, that you give StreamYard permission to be able to see your name, so that if you want to ask questions as we go along, I can see who you are, and you know, that would be really helpful to me. So just say hi if you're just joining us. Let us know that you're here. That would be great. And we're going to dive straight in. So Kamalini, it's great to have you here. I'm going to just, yeah, no, you're welcome. I'm going to do a little bit of an intro to you because it'd be great for everyone to know a bit more about you before we dive into actually the interview today, which actually have been asked about by a lot of my audience. Have been saying, how do I hire a team, you know, to grow my business? So just for you guys who are coming and joining us now, Kamalini Roy is an incredible business coach. I know you guys haven't met her before, but I've known Kamalini a little while, and she's an incredible business coach. She is a graduate of Cambridge University in the UK. She's also a graduate of Kolkata University in India as well. She has got 20 years of experience in multinational corporations, working with a range of different corporations over those 20 years. So she has a wealth of experience when it comes to leading and growing teams, and that's why I wanted to bring her on today to speak to you guys. She's worked for companies like Anne's Grinleys, Standard Chartered. I know some of my clients will have worked with Standard Chartered as well, IDFC and Waterfield. And she's really weaved all of her learnings together into helping business owners to be able to know how to accelerate and grow their businesses. So you have also got your own methodology, haven't you, Kamalini, for transforming the thought processes of entrepreneurs. And it allows them to make, you know, to take more action steps and to increase their freedom as well, and create more time for themselves. Now, that sounds like very important action steps to me, because one thing as an entrepreneur that we all know is that, you know, you can keep yourself as busy as you want to be. You can work every hour in the day. There is always more to be done. So I think your thought process could be very interesting as well. Maybe we can touch on that today in the interview as well. And I know that you've also written a book which is going to be launched soon, which is Creating Wealth Through High Performing Teams. So we're definitely going to talk about that more as well. But welcome, and welcome to everyone who's just joining us. Please do say hi and let me know that you're here. Hi, Laura. Good to see you. Anyone else who's just joining us, just post a comment and just say hi so that we know you're here. That would be great. We will take questions. So Kamalini will be taking questions, but we're going to do that towards the end. So for now, let's kick off and get this started. Kamalini, would you share a little bit about yourself as well? I've given you a bit of an intro to everyone, but it'd be great to have you say a little bit about yourself too.
Sure, Shelley. Thank you very much for the very kind and generous introduction. I have always, you know, been somebody who has been geared to work in the corporate world, and I never thought that I would become an entrepreneur. So throughout my life, I did all the right things, studied well, you know, practiced hard to be an all-rounder so that I could move to the next level. But all of them were aimed at landing myself a great job. And I did. You know, fortunately, when you have academic strength with you, at least, you know, the doors open up for you in the corporate world. And I ended up being in the different jobs that I wanted to be in. And eventually what made me change my mind is there are two experiences I went through. One was professional and the other was personal. The professional experience was working with different leaders and realizing that is really the leadership style which defines the performance of the team to a large extent. And the second one, which was personal, is once I became a mother, I realized that I wanted to work at my own time. And it's,
Mm.
we all know as an entrepreneur, you probably end up working more, but you do realize that you have time within your control to the extent that, I want to work when my son goes off to sleep. That's when I want to start working. Or I want to work when my son is doing classes, online classes now, or when he's in school. But I want to be there to pick him up at 3:30 from school. I want to be there for his sports day. I want to be there for his parent teacher meeting. And you can't always end up doing all the activities you want to do with your child or with your family if you are working in the corporate world. And believe it or not, I was very happy in the corporate world. I love the glamour, I love the perks it came with, the training, the friendships that you make. But what I didn't like is I couldn't do what I wanted to do at my own time. And
Mm.
that is what made me turn into an entrepreneur. And here I am as a business coach, sharing my experiences to transform entrepreneurs, to help them. But more importantly, in my heart, I feel that I actually want to help their team members. I want to help the people who are working with them. So, how can I make an entrepreneur create wealth, but most importantly, create lives for people?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's fantastic. So, Kamalini, it's great to hear a bit about what made you decide to become an entrepreneur and make that leap. And I know that's a leap that a lot of my audience will relate to, that they themselves have made that leap from corporate to starting their own business. And I can totally relate as well to what you're saying about, the freedom that being your own boss gives you, and the fact that no one else is making those decisions. You're making those decisions for yourself about when you want to work, how you want to work, what you're going to work on. So I totally agree with you on that. What I'd love to know a little bit more about is what makes you passionate about the work that you do with entrepreneurs. What's your kind of drive or passion? Because I know you've got a big mission to help 10,000 entrepreneurs. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about
So, Shelley, I think the reason why I chose to work with entrepreneurs is mainly because in the current world, there are a lot of people who have lost their jobs, and there are millions of them in India. So there are people who are floundering, not knowing how to get their next, buck in, how to even feed their families. And today, the world is at a stage where, with hard work, it's not easy. With hard work, you can establish a business for yourself. You don't need too much investment. Yes, you can dream big, but you can start small. And the idea is, how can I help these entrepreneurs? And believe it or not, Shelley, it took me some time to, uh, figure out, do I want to work with entrepreneurs or do I want to work with corporate leaders? And I know, from a client point of view, it'll be so much easier for me to work with corporate people because that's my background. I already have a base out there. I have the connections out there. But I wanted to actually help the people who need my help. And today, the people who need my help are entrepreneurs because there are so many more out there on the street who don't have a job. So, if you don't have a job, it doesn't matter. You can start something of your own and instead become job givers instead of being a job seeker. And that was the main reason which, kind of drove me to want to work with entrepreneurs and drove me to want to work on the people side of, small businesses. So while I do come from the financial services industry, my focus is not so much on business models and finance and operations. My focus is on people, the heart to heart connection. That's what I want to work on.
that. Oh, that's beautiful. And, I think I totally connect with your passion as well. I think that for me as well has been a big passion since the pandemic hit and lockdown hit. It's really, I've seen the impact on a lot of entrepreneurs, not just those who are new in business, but those who actually have been going for a long time. And I, like you, feel the same, that there is a huge need for support and help for entrepreneurs to know how to grow this business and make it successful, even during the challenges that we've been faced with in the last year, because there's still a lot of opportunity. So obviously the topic that we're here to talk about today is really how to grow your rockstar team, or how to hire a rockstar team so you can grow your business. And so, I know a lot of my audience, some of them are really kind of thinking about hiring their first person, or maybe it's a VA, a virtual assistant, and they're hiring the contractor part-time. What would be your advice be to them? What do they need to think about when they're hiring the first person for their business?
The most important thing, Shelley, is to understand what is the role that you want to fill. And here I would say, when you're starting off and you're on your own, the role that you want to fill is the role that you don't want to do. Either you don't want to do, or you are not good at. Because both of these will be the kind of roles that will hold you back from progressing. Like, for example, Shelley, I don't find myself very skilled as far as technology is concerned. Now, every time I need to try and build an email list on an email platform, or I need to how do I say, create my webinar platform setting, I know that I would probably take days to do that, just because I'm not good at technology. I have also not been somebody who's been very active on social media. Being in the corporate world, you've never needed to be active on social media. You know what I mean, right, Shelley? I mean, you
I
think
do.
about social media only when you start your own business. And these are the things I know that would demotivate me or pull me back or not allow me to progress. So the important thing is to first, your own awareness. What is it that you need help with? And that is the role that you set out to do. One, what you need help with because you're not good at. Two, you don't want to do. You may be good at it, but you may not want to do it. Third is what takes up unnecessary amount of time. Like, for example, video editing. You may enjoy doing it. You may know how to do it, but it just takes up a lot of time. So do you want to do it? Once in a while, do it as a hobby, but do you want to do it with the consistency that is required? So the first thing that you need to look at, once again, is what is the role you're trying to fit in from your own awareness point of view, knowing yourself from that point of view. The second thing, whether you are hiring a VA or whether you are hiring a freelancer, and as a small business owner, you probably will hire just that one or two, to start off with, to realize that even if they are not working with you full time, they are still your team. So to treat them as a part of your organization, make them feel that they are helping you in your progress, in your business vision. Because very often I see that people who work with freelancers, the people who are employing them have a project mindset orientation, that, I'm giving the person one item to do, that will be completed, job is over out there. No, engage in conversation with the person, find out what it is that the person enjoys doing. So I have a freelancer who works for me, but even though she works for me as a freelancer and it's supposed to be project wise, we engage so often during the day. We talk about her health, what's happening in her family, that she's looking out for somebody to get married to, to make the person feel that the person is a part of your business and you are interested in the person's life as well, not only in that little small part where the person is contributing to your business. So to have an approach of, the person is a part of my team and is helping me grow my business, even if the person is a VA or a freelancer.
That's really great advice. I think that's super, super helpful. And I know that sometimes, it can be a bit nerve-wracking taking on team members, even if it's a contractor, as opposed to someone who's full-time, because you're worried about how can I afford to pay them when I'm, growing my business. And especially if you're kind of at the starting point with your business, it can be quite, you can be thinking, how am I going to cover paying for them when I'm not really making that much to pay myself at this point in time? And I have to also demystify something for everyone. It doesn't get easier the bigger the business gets. The expenses get bigger, guys. If you saw my staffing cost, you would have a fit, like literally the amount that goes out on staff. But if you want to grow your business, they have that saying, growth sucks cash. And, you have to, be able to focus on what the end goal is, as opposed to, this is costing me X. You need to focus on, this is where I'm looking to take my business. So I'm curious to hear from you, Kamalini, what advice you have for entrepreneurs who, want to follow your advice and hire someone to do the stuff they don't want to do, or that they're not good at, or it's taking them a lot of time, but they're worried about finding the money to cover the cost of it, what would you say to them?
Okay, so Shelley, my experience has been so wonderful. I took time to hire my people who are working for me, and not many, because in the coaching business, you really don't need that many to start off with until you reach a certain level. And I derive so much of confidence in my approach when I actually try to hire the first person. First of all, it took me time. Take time to hire your person. No, don't jump into it. After that, decide how long you want to work for as a trial period. And the trial period is not about whether the person works for you. The trial period also keep in mind whether you work for the person. So whenever I speak to the person I'm going to hire, I always say this trial period is to understand whether what I am doing excites you as much as whether what you are doing excites me. It is both ways. Just because we are paying it, it doesn't mean that we are the one who are assessing them. Let them think that you are also giving them an opportunity to assess you. But more importantly, Shelley, and you'll be surprised, there's somebody I really wanted to hire who has quite a bit of experiences and in social media has a bit of influence, and she's good. So when I told her what I wanted to hire her for, she gave me a bill which I would probably not be able to afford at least for the next 1 year. But I wanted her. So I spoke to her and I said that, look, this is what my vision is for the company. And I know you are working as a freelancer for me. I can't afford what you're doing. How can we work around the proposal that I've sent to you in such a manner that you can work within this budget of mine? And other than, the work that you're doing for me, this is how I will help you. Now, typically, these freelancers and VAs are all 20 somethings. They also want to see a growth path. Doesn't matter if they are a freelancer. And I showed them the growth path. I said that, once I start my online business with webinars, this is what I'll be earning, and this is the incentivization that I can give to you. So we will ultimately reach to that level, maybe in 3 months' time, but right now I can't do it. In fact, Shelley, one of the things I did is because she's a social media person, I latched her onto you. She's watched some of your stuff and she's so excited about being a follower. She said, thank you so much for introducing me to Shelley. And she follows you, she learns from you. And because we are a part of a bigger world which can, kind of train these people. I don't spend time training her myself. All I do is latch her onto people who I think will help her in her business. And you certainly can help her in her business, and that's the world she's seen today, and she knows that on her own she couldn't have done it. So she's very happily working for me at 1/4 that price that she had asked for me. 1/4, Shelley.
Wow,
So
so
if
you're a good
the
negotiator.
believe me, I didn't negotiate. It was an appeal. I
No.
spoke from my heart.
Yeah.
And I said, this is where I am. And this
Yeah.
is what I would like to do for you. And this is the amount of time it will take. They just need predictability. And I said, I'll put systems in place so that I'm not taking up all of your time. You are a freelancer. So
Yeah.
she basically works for me over the weekend and creates everything that needs to be created for the whole week. So she knows that these few hours is what she needs from me. And after that, during the week, I don't really disturb her.
Yeah.
Now, for example, in the month of April, I'm going to be launching my webinar now, Shelley, and that requires a lot of work. I had warned her in the month of March that, are you okay doing a few extra hours in the month of April? And it'll be just for the month of April because we would have sorted things out by May. As long as they know and there's predictability and they see a future with you and a long-term contract, even they don't want to keep changing, their projects.
Yeah.
You can hire people at the cost that you want. They just need to see a vision. They need to see more than the money. Show them
Yeah.
more than the money. Money is not
That's
everything.
really
Money is
great
not what
advice.
people work for.
No, no, they don't. I mean, a lot of people want to feel fulfilled, and I think the best team members are people who are excited about your mission and what you're here to do in the world, and then they're committed to you in a deeper way than just a paycheck. I
Yeah.
feel that's what really motivates your team to become rock stars and to be rock stars for you
Yeah.
is being really behind what you're doing and wanting to see it being successful. So I think that's great advice, Kamalini. And I love the fact that you're thinking about your skills and your knowledge that could make a difference to the person you're wanting to hire, and then being able to find a way to make the what you can afford work for both of you, and that sort of partnership works for both them and you, and so you can still hire the person you want but you're finding a way to make it work. I think that's great advice for everyone. My kind of take has also been, when I'm hiring a rock star, has been about looking at what the time is that I'm going to get back from actually having that team member doing such an awesome job. Because if you look at your hourly rate, I mean, I know you see this as well, Kamalini. When you look at your hourly rate, if you can put that time into picking up new clients, that instead of doing the tech yourself or doing the admin yourself, if you can be using that time actually in your delivery with clients, you're going to be making a lot more for that hour as compared to with what you're spending out. So it makes sense to start to delegate and to go that path. So as we've kind of moved a little bit into the delegating area, it might be great to hear a little bit about your thoughts about, how entrepreneurs can start to actually handle that process of delegating to their staff effectively, or to their team effectively. Because one of the things that can happen when you're wearing so many hats is you get a little bit of a control freak side coming out. And, often people who are good as entrepreneurs are people who are very good at lots of different things. Yes. So they can sometimes find it quite difficult to actually delegate and to know how to actually get the most out of the people they're hiring. What advice would you have to get the most out of the people that you're hiring, as an entrepreneur? How to, you've mentioned a few things already, but it'd be lovely to hear a little bit more about that.
Sure. In fact, the first thing that it starts with the hiring, Shelley. It's very important to hire people who are smarter than you, who know more than you do in the particular area that you're looking for help in. So my 20-year-olds know so much about technology and social media that I'm actually learning from them. I have a learning hour set aside. Now, the moment you start learning from your team, you actually also start trusting them. The reason why entrepreneurs find it difficult to let go is because they want to do things in a particular way, which they feel is the right way. But what I want to share with the entrepreneurs out here, you listeners, is the right way is right only to you. It may not be universally right. There is no universally right, right? And the moment you hire somebody who's a little smarter than you will tend to let go a little bit because you will realize that the person knows a little bit more about the subject matter than you do, and it will be that much easier for you to let go of your control. Secondly, trust that person. Allow the person to make a few mistakes initially. Because typically what happens with entrepreneurs is if you are holding the reins, they will keep coming back to you to make that final decision. And after a certain point of time, you don't want to make that decision. You want them to take that decision so that you are free. And believe me, decision making takes a lot of the mind space. So initially, the idea is you work with the person. So the first 2 months that I worked with my team members, it was a very tight control because they needed to understand what I resonate with. Even simple things like the colors I resonate with, the kind of words I resonate with. It took me about 2 months for them to understand me. After that, I started taking my foot off the pedal very often. So, they used to get a little floundered, what do I do? And they used to come back. I'm like, do what you want, whatever you think is correct. How do you feel you should do this? So all those, questions would come up and I would be there little at a time. Now I'm in the 4th month of working with one of them. And believe me, she doesn't need anything other than the real content that I give her. She knows exactly what needs to be done. So the idea is a lot of control in the first month so that they understand you. Little bit of control where you're working alongside, stepping in, and also filling the gap where you feel that they cannot still handle it. And then finally, just be there at a supervisory level where you can ensure that at a strategic level things are working well, but let go of the rest. It's okay if some mistakes do happen in the process. It's absolutely fine because the only person who will get perked up or get irritated with the mistake is you, not your client. They won't even realize that there's a mistake somewhere. And people, there's a lot of space for mistakes in the world today. Nobody's looking for a perfectionist out here anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great advice. And I really love the way that you broke down how people, how to, as an entrepreneur, work with your team member to help get them up to speed so that they can actually be more autonomous in working on their area of what they're dealing with for your business. I think that's really great, having that almost 3-stage strategy to it, that you really support them to be able to become a rock star for you and to be a rock star for you. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
So I'd love to know a little bit about this book that you've got coming out soon. If you want to tell us a little bit about that, that would be great.
Sure. Thanks, Shelley. So the book is called Create Wealth by Creating High Performance Teams. And the premise of the book is that if you have a high performance team, then bringing in revenue into your business becomes quite easy. And very often you will see that with a high performance team, you are bringing in much more revenue than you could have ever thought of. And that's how you create wealth. Now, what I have done in the book is I have created a flow of 12 steps as to how you can create an high performing team. And my book is directed or created for small business entrepreneurs who have one team member to 75 team members. So for small business entrepreneurs, because very often the strategy that you use for small business entrepreneurs with small teams doesn't work for larger teams, because the larger teams, they have to be totally driven by systems.
Yeah.
Whereas the smaller teams, you require lots more of human interaction, of the heart, of, everybody feeling like they belong to each other. A lot of that is required when you're first starting off your business. So my book is for people with, one team member to 75 team members, and 12 stages in that. So the premise of the book is, all of us think that customer is king. The
Mm.
thing is, your customer is an equal partner. The day you believe that the customer is gaining as much being with you as you are gaining because he's your customer, that day you will realize that you will not treat your customer or your client as king. They are equal partners. You are getting money from them, they are getting transformative service from you. So, equal partners. If I must call anybody my king or my queen, it'll be my team members. So the kind of focus and engagement that I put forward for my customer, if I put the same amount of time and engagement to my team members, creating wealth will become much more easy. And a simple example, Shelley, when you have a client call, will you ever, how do I say, reschedule the client call unless something really, important comes up? You won't, because it's a client call. But how many times have we rescheduled meeting with our team members or rescheduled meeting with our talking to our team? How does that make your team member feel? That it's not that important to speak to me, which is why you are giving a client preference and, kind of rescheduling my call. I would do it the other way around. If I have a team member call scheduled already and a client says the client wants a call at that time, I would say I already have an appointment at that time. Can we have a time, a different time? So to give that kind of importance, the way you think about your client, if you can start thinking about your team that way, I feel the business will be very successful very fast. Give that kind of importance, give that kind of flow. So, in a customer's life, you have lead generation, sales conversion, customer service, referrals. You have that flow. What is the flow chart that you created for your team?
Yeah.
Are you thinking about the flow chart that you've created for your team so that your team also becomes brand ambassadors and referrals for you? Because if they are happy with you, they'll bring in your clients. They'll be speaking so highly about your company that you'll have the best of people wanting to work for you. Their friend who could also do, a job in your company, and they'll convince them it's okay. It doesn't matter if you don't get the money. You'll just love working with him or her. So just come. They become your referrals and brand ambassadors.
Absolutely. That's great. Really, really great advice, Kamalini. That's fantastic. And really good to hear about your book. So when is it coming out again? What's the date that
It's next week. It's scheduled for 22nd of April as of now on Amazon. So it'll come as a paperback as well as a Kindle version. So it'll be globally available for both paperback and Kindle version.
Amazing, amazing. So we really look forward to that. I'll be getting my copy as well because I can't wait to read your book as well. And of course, I have my 3-day event next week as well. So it's a big week for both of us. And I'm focusing on how to grow your business 6 figures and beyond in my 3-day event. And I just wanted to say, if anyone here hasn't got tickets yet, you can get tickets for that. And I'm just going to pull up the banner with the ticket. If you want to hop on and get a ticket to my 3-day event, that would be great to have you there over our focus on how to grow your business over the coming year. But let's come back to Kamalini now, and I want to see if anyone has any questions that they would like to ask. If you want to post any questions in that you have for Kamalini, that would be fantastic. And just say, what questions do you have about being able to hire rock stars for your business? So just post anything that you want to know. And whilst we're waiting for them to come through, because it usually takes a minute or two to have questions coming through, I'd like to ask a question myself, which is just to see, Kamalini, obviously your focus is very much on hiring and growing and leading the team to be successful. But, if there is one thing that you've learned from your experiences working in corporate and now as an entrepreneur that you feel, you really would want to share with this audience of entrepreneurs that are here today, what's the one tip that you would give them? Something that you wish you knew back then that you now know, when it comes to being able to help entrepreneurs with their businesses.
So, Shelley, the thing about entrepreneurship is often we don't start something till we've perfected it. And I feel that the most important tip that I'd like to give entrepreneurs is start. It doesn't matter how good or bad you are. So I'll share my personal experience when I was starting my YouTube channel. I will ask everybody to go and see my YouTube channel. It's by the same name, Kamalini Roy, and see that first video I put out. I promise you, it's crap. It's utter nonsense. The production quality is so bad. The only thing that I was happy about is I spoke from my heart, and I know that from a content point of view, I've given a lot. But any YouTuber who saw this, and I gave it to one or two of my people who knows a little bit about video editing, trashed it. But I didn't give up. I just continued, putting up my little YouTube videos. And so what if nobody watched it? I did it for myself. What happened is because I started, with every video, I kept on improving. And here I'm a part of a coach community, and I started my YouTube videos, I think 3 months back. I have a few coaches out there who, because they are not being able to get that perfect video, they are not putting it up. So the point is just start. It doesn't matter how bad you are, and follow the process. Just, like when I was writing my book, Shelley, I wouldn't call myself a prolific writer. I'm a coach. I'm an experiential people. I'm not a prolific writer. So I just said that it's process. Write 200 words every day. That's it. Follow the process. And eventually, at some point of time, the book will end, as long as you follow that. So one thing is start. The other thing is take a baby step, whatever it is, every single day. Just take that tiny step, because if you take that tiny step, you're moving in the direction that you want to move. Don't not do something just because you're trying to perfect it.
Absolutely. I totally agree. It's so important to just start. I think that is as long as you start, you can always move forwards. But if you don't start, then you've got no propelling happening. So I love that, and I'm in awe of the fact that you've managed to be able to write a book as well, because it's something I've wanted to do, but that is one thing that everything else comes before the books. So I think that's great advice. So we've got a couple of questions and comments here. Monica is saying that she's not at the stage of hiring a team right now, but she's picked up some really good points. So thanks very much to you for that, Kamalini. We have someone else who's asking, how do you get more commitment from an outsourced team member who has many clients? And this person has a team member who works with them for 10 hours a week. So what would you do in that situation to get more commitment from them?
I'll bring it back to what you would do with your customer. So what you would do with your customer is something that we call top of mind recall. And top of mind recall only happens when you're constantly engaging with the customer. So with this team member, try having conversations which is beyond work. Let the person know that you're interested in the person as a person. And then see, and I'll tell you where I'm coming from. This happened with me with a team member of mine who one fine day actually suddenly said that, I don't think I want to continue working with me. And I got the shock of my life because, out of the blue. So I said, what happened, and then she said, your work is taking up much more time than I thought it would. And I'm finding it difficult with my other clients. Exactly what you're saying, not being able to give that kind of time. So I chatted out with her and I actually said that, your work is good and I don't want to let you go. How can we work through in such a way that you would be able to continue working with me and we can work within the time limitations that you have. The thing is conversation, engagement, conversation, engagement. If that person connects heart to heart with you will be top of mind recall for the person. So even if the person needs to work 2 extra hours in a day, the person will be committed to you. So conversation needs to go beyond work and see how you can make the person like you, make the person love you, make the person love the work that she's doing for you, and you'll get the commitment in.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice. I totally agree with you. It's just open the airwaves and have those conversations. Just get it out. I always think it's better to address things early on than to leave them as well. So the longer you leave something where it's not working and you're getting frustrated about it, the longer you leave it, the worse it gets. It's much better to just have it conversation with a friend.
Yes, sorry. One more thing I also wanted to add here. And just like, again, everything that you do with your team members, take it from a point of view as to what you would do with your customers. So even with your customers, you would have a pipeline, right? So that you're not dependent on one customer and you're not clinging on to the customer no matter what. So even with team members, have a pipeline. So if you feel that even after everything that you've tried, this person is still not being able to cope up with the kind of work that you have, either divide off the work, maybe it's too much for her, have somebody else coming in, or have a pipeline of people who you can start trying out with and bring them up to speed, so that at any point of time, if the work is not done out here, you have somebody else who can do the work as well, or you can switch over. With freelancers, it's quite easy to switch over. I mean, you're not firing them, you're just stopping the project. That's it.
Yeah, great advice. It's so helpful. We have a comment from Amanda, who's my OBM in my team. She said, Kamalini, you are easy to love.
So cute. Thank you. A big hug to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think having a great team member, they're worth their weight in gold. If you have someone who is, really rocking it as your team member, it's just what you can do with your business. It's elevated so much. A business is the sum of everyone that works within the business, not just the entrepreneur. In my experience, it's the whole team. And your clients start to love not just you, but the whole team. And if you have a great team, they are as much staying with you for you as they are staying with you for the whole team behind you as well. And so anyway, that's my 2 cents I'm throwing in there from my experience. That ultimately the team gets trained in and in speaking about my team, my team that are front facing with clients in terms of responding to all the clients, they get trained in my way of responding, the Shelley way. Or the client, we always actually say the client nectar. We don't say Shelley. We say the client nectar way of responding to our clients, so that love from you flows through, and your team are kind of expressing your love with their own mixed in. So like their gifts come in along with everything they've learned from you, so that there's that beautiful kind of kind of branding that is clear messaging that comes through everyone in the team. That's a clear way of being and responding and caring that comes through. I feel like that when that flow is there with your team, it's just powerful. It's powerful.
They end up motivating you so much, right, Shelley? I mean, when you have a great team, you just carry on because your team is looking at you to progress for their progress, and they just end up motivating you so much.
Absolutely, and it's everyone's success. Like what you do with the business is the whole team's success, and I think that's super important. As someone who was in corporate, who did a lot of work, I did a lot of work in academia to make a very big project happen, and then I didn't get any acknowledgement for it. Having gone through that myself, I'm like, no, when you experience something like that, it's like you realize that whatever projects you have on as a business, it's the whole team's success. The realization of those projects is the whole team, and everyone needs credit, not just the person who's at the front of the business or the top of the business. So wow, we could talk about this subject for forever. We've got a lot of wonderful comments coming through. Nancy is saying Kamalini is magnetic. I think it's about the authenticity she clearly starts everything from, and loving her advice. So really enjoying your advice there. There's another question, but this isn't about team members. It's about So I'll read you what they're saying. Maybe my question isn't about team members, re-ambassadors, but sometimes they become team members. Okay, I'm not quite sure what they're trying to ask, but I think maybe what they're saying is something about how ambassadors, people who love your business, can end up becoming team members. So yeah, I mean, that happens, doesn't it, Kamalini? Sometimes.
Yes, of course, all the time. I mean, if they want to be a part of your team. If they like you, they would want to be a part of what you are doing. So yes, it does happen that way, that your ambassadors actually come and join your team and want to contribute to grow that business because they love what you're doing. They love you and they love what you're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. We want, the best people to bring through into your team are people who are already sold on, what you're doing, and they're on board. They're enjoying it. They're getting benefit themselves, and then they want to help, carry the business forward. So, yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Kamalini. This has been a great interview with you. How can people find out more about you? How can they sort of connect with you on social media or find out more about your work?
The best way to connect with me, Shelley, thank you for asking, is through my website, which is my name, KAMALINIROY.com, KamaliniRoy.com. Other than that, I have tried to make myself visible as an entrepreneur. So I am there on YouTube with my name, Kamalini Roy. I run a podcast. It's called the Successful Entrepreneurs Podcast, and Shelley has been interviewed in that podcast. I'm there on LinkedIn. I'm very, very active on LinkedIn. So I'm there for you. Reach me however you want to. I'm just there everywhere for you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, I'd highly recommend that everyone that's listening gets in touch with Kamalini. At least check out Kamalini's YouTube or her website, or link up on LinkedIn, of course, which is always a good place to connect. So thank you so much, Kamalini. It's been great having you on. And just for everyone listening, as we come to a close for this session today, if you guys want to join us for the 3 days of growing your business next week, then there are still some tickets available. And you just need to go to clientnectar.com/accelerate 2021, and you'll have 3 days with me of growing your business and being able to get really clear on your vision, know how to start to implement that vision and scale your business with group programs, with webinars, leveraging your time, your selling, your marketing, and then know exactly what the daily actions you need to do are in order to achieve your goals. So we'll be getting you through any kind of procrastination, any feelings of overwhelm from your to-do list, and getting you fired up about what you actually need to do in order to create the success that you want this year. So make sure you come along to that or purchase your ticket if you haven't already. And if you've got your ticket, then you've got a whole load of things, fun things that are being available to you, like taking up your 20-minute free coaching session. So if you haven't taken up your 20-minute free coaching session with one of my coaches, make sure you book that in. So thank you again to Kamalini. And I'm sure we will hear more from Kamalini in the future. I'm sure we'll have you back on to do another session in the future. So just going to say thank you to everyone who's joined us today. Thank you, Kamalini, and we will see you again very soon.
Thank you, Shelley. I'm really, really excited about your 3-day event, and thank you for pricing it so affordable, even for the Indian conversion rate. I'm very excited for your, for your 3-day
intensive. Thrilled that you're going to be with us for the event. It's going to be amazing. And absolutely, this is the thing we need to make. We need to consider our international audience, not just one audience. I think it's very important. Everyone's heard me talking about this recently, about seeing the global audience, including India, China, Asia, as well as US, UK, etc., and bringing that together. So thank you again. We've been bridging that gap across from India into the UK in this interview today. And I'm sure we will have you back, Kamalini. So yeah, so thank you to everyone for joining us, and we will see you again soon. Bye for now, guys.
Bye-bye.